Now, this is the part of the video where you guys are probably wondering which one of these bikes was my favorite, and if I had to buy one of these bikes, which one would it be? What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today we have a very special video, probably one of the more requested one, and that is because we are doing a long travel 29ers shootout. Specifically, we're going to be comparing the Transition Spire to the Specialized Enduro, and we're also going to throw in the Yeti SB150 in there, and I'm also going to be talking about my personal experience with the Ibis Ripmo and the Specialized Stumpy Evo S-Work Edition. So I'm just gonna kind of throw those comparisons in there, but specifically in this video, I'm gonna demo the Transition Spire, the Enduro, and the Yeti SB150. Huge thank you to Pro Bike Supply who made this video possible. If you're not familiar, Pro Bike Supply has one of the biggest demo selection in the Southern California area. All of the bikes that I test rode in this video were actually supplied by Pro Bike Supply for the shootout, so their demo fleet is insane. And the coolest part about that demo program is that you can actually pay to demo any of those bikes, and then that cost will go towards the purchase of anything in the store, not just the bicycles. So it's a really cool way to try out some bikes and also put some money towards some gear. If you guys ever want to demo a bike, hit those guys up. Here's their phone number and their Instagram. Give them a follow. All right, so the way this review is structured is I actually test rode 3 of these bikes on the same exact loop here in Orange County. So I'm going to show you guys my GoPro footage from those test rides. You can kind of see me on those bikes on local trails, and then we'll do the final comparison at the end of the video. So without further ado, here is my footage from the test runs. Okay, so this is where all of the tests will take place. I really do feel like if you ever do come to Orange County or you live in the area, this is the place to go if you're trying to demo a bike. This is Link's Trail on the Yeti SB150. Excited. I feel like this is the trail that this bike really is gonna shine on. I know from previous experience on Yeti bikes, man, they really like fast tracks. A lot of hype around this bike. I feel like it looks really good too. Okay. Oh, it's soaking it up. Nice. Into the chunk. No issues whatsoever. Oh, I'm liking how the Yeti SB150 feels. Oh, yes. I want to try to keep it nice and straight through here is what I found over the years. And there's a really good section coming up. God, the Yeti stays so composed. I am very impressed by this thing. Nice. Sweet. God, you are such a fun bike. Hopefully you guys can see. I know it's a bumpy one. Oh man. Drop off and then the up and over right here. And there's one corner coming up right over here. I am really blown away. There it is. God, I am really stoked on this bike. Nice. All right, so this is the infamous Choya climb. And for those of you who don't know, man, if you just ate lunch, if you have a full belly, this isn't the trail. And I know this is the section where the heart rate really starts to go up. So we're gonna try and talk to you guys, but just know that we are suffering. But so far, I mean, it's interesting, right? I'm not gonna lock out any of the bikes. I don't believe in testing with the shock locked out on anything. The Yeti SB150 showing me right now, unlocked, is, man, it really don't feel too much bob in it. And obviously, you guys are probably like, Mel, you're breathing hard. Everyone breathes hard in this section. I believe in extra credit. So I like to take these little alternate lines, a little chunkier, lets you really kind of see where the bike is standing in traction point. But here is the main challenge. Unless you do this, you haven't climbed Choya. Okay, left. Wow, that was super easy. But here it is, guys. We made it to the top of Choya. All right, next trail is gonna be the top part of this one called Stair Steps. There's a really good waterfall section. Let's have some fun, you guys, and try to not die. Whew. Nice. Okay, pick the line. How's it doing under braking? Oh wow, very composed. Oh, I am digging it. Man, this thing is rowdy. Woo! Aha. Sweet. That felt like nothing, you guys. For the final trail of the test, For the SB150, we are on rocket trail now. It's the best way I can describe it. Okay, I gotta focus because I do not want to eat it. In the infamous rocket rock garden. I don't even know if you guys can see, it's probably so bouncy. Woo, but the bike doesn't feel bouncy. The bike is super composed coming through here. Literally, this thing feels like it's on rails, like a train. Nice. Oh God, I am stoked. Okay, I like to go kind of middle here. Set myself up for this little up and over. All right. Wow, that didn't even feel like anything. Did you guys see how easy that was? Can we make the section after? We made it. We made the section after. Best corners in Laguna. Whoop, ah. Oh my God, this thing is fun. Whoop. No problem. In here, God, this thing is good. Can I huck into the dip? Yep, sorry, Mark. If I return this bike in used and abused condition, but it is taking it. Nice. Gotta be really careful here. This is where you can seriously mess yourself up. So many ruts. All right, high speed stability, let's test it out. How we doing? So far, so good. Nice. Loving it. Finish line. Yes. Can we stop before the end? This thing is insane. My God. Another day, another bike, and we are back in Aliso, this time on the Transition Spire. And this is basically the mega long travel offering from Transition Bikes. About 170 mils of travel, both front and rear. Very slack head angle. And yeah, I mean, it's basically a downhill bike, but meant for enduro style trail. So links, let's make our way down. This feels like a long travel bike. And it's actually been one of the first long travel 29ers I've ridden that I feel like is actually a long travel 29er. I feel like a lot of that is Transition and how they make bikes. Whew. I'm gonna talk a little bit. Oh my God, what the hell? This thing is so literally effortless, guys. Did you guys hear how blown away I was on that? That was literally, felt like nothing. It felt like I was going down a flat trail on that section. Their bikes really do feel like the amount of travel they say they do have. That made sense. I gotta focus, you guys. Oh my God. Whoop. Nice. Right down here. God, this trail never, ever, ever. Oh my God. Has no braking bumps. All the braking bumps. That's nothing. It doesn't feel like braking bumps, actually. I can't even exaggerate that. What the heck? My God. Whoop. Wow. Up and over. Nice. What the hell? My God. In the mountain bike world, what goes down must go up, unless you are a shuttle junkie, in which case what goes down leads to the shuttle truck. But we like pedaling over here, and this bike is intended to kind of give you the best of both worlds. Very steep section over here. We'll even take a little steeper line. And like I said, the weight is there. However, the thing that I am surprised by, doesn't feel like the head angle is there. Even though it is so slack, I feel like that seat angle is also pretty steep. And overall, yeah, you don't really feel it too much climbing, which is awesome. All right, more tech. Let's see. We're gonna kind of God, it's it feels kind of like cheating if the weight penalty wasn't there too. Corner that you have to make if you want to say you've cleaned Choya. You can't take that alternate line to the left. And as you guys can tell, I'm talking to you and climb. I'm like, this is actually a surprisingly fairly efficient climber. And that was Choya. Second part of this test is to test out steep chunk, and we're on a trail called Stair Steps. Oh my God. Nope, this is not fair. This is not a fair test. Oh my, my God. I'm having trouble expressing how easy everything feels right now. This is not even, don't feel challenged what's all right, let's try to bring it together a little bit. Okay, pick our line carefully, but you don't really need to pick a line. Huck, I just hucked into that. That's just because I felt like that was the appropriate thing to do. What is this? Okay, Mike, what the, this is not even hard. This I don't know if you guys can tell how shocked I am. That was that. Into the infamous rock garden. Oh man, so much bike, so much trail, so little effort. It's kind of the best way to sum this up. Aye. Oh no, what do we got here? Into the crevice. I always get so worried on this bottom section. I'm gonna put my front wheel somewhere I don't want to, but I went offline right there. Did you guys see that? Barely even felt it. I gotta be easy on this corner so Mark doesn't kill me. You know what? Just for kind of giggles, I'm barely gonna pull up here. I'm just gonna run into it. Can I? Oh! Ooh. I put very little effort into that, guys. I basically just ran into that and it kind of decided to go up. And then we got this corner, all the braking bumps in the world. But I don't think any of them can stop the Transition Spire. Oh, home stretch. Here we go. Oh, we got some people. There they are. How's it going, guys? All right, another day, another bike. And this time we have the Specialized Enduro, a bike that is very hot. I feel like this is probably one of the most popular bikes I see on the trail nowadays. Similar travel-wise to the Transition Spire, it's a very different bike. A lot more playful, but still got that race feeling nature that the Yeti has. So kind of the best of both worlds. So let's make our way down. Nice. Through the chunk. Ooh, that was easy. God, I really like this bike. Crazy how well this bike kind of comes in and out of corners. You can feel the pop it has, where that Transition Spire definitely was a little bit more planted, stable, numbing of the trail. This one still has that stability, but a lot more of a playful feel into the chunk. God, this thing is so fast. That's the one thing you notice right away. Similar to the Yeti. Okay, what do we got here? Through the chunk. Oh, it feels like summer, but we just hit December. Woo! This section is so chewed up now. Woo! Okay, last section, a little bit of a jump. No problems whatsoever. The suspension is so responsive on this thing. Nice. All right, so let's see how this thing, well, I know how it does on the climbs because I've been riding it, but I'll let you guys show how this bike does climbing. Steep sections are starting. Now, I will say, it definitely climbs very efficiently. Has that kind of trail bike style feeling to the climbing, which is awesome. But then enduro rig descends. However, the seat angle definitely feels a little on the slacker side. All right, more tech. Let's see. God, like I mentioned, guys, just because the bike is long travel doesn't mean it's gonna instantly be worse on climbs. I feel like these bikes do so well when the climbing gets techy. Let's see if we can make this turn. Oh yeah, no problem. It just feels like traction was almost freaking endless on these enduro style rigs on some of those climbs. And here we go, the top of Choya. Deep part of the test. We are at stair steps, a blend of super stable, yeah, super playful. So really digging it. I can see where the race nature of this bike comes from. I know a lot of racers end up choosing this as their race bike. God, this top section is so hard on wheels. Okay, right down the middle. Try to regain our composure. That was actually really easy. My God. Boom, boom, boom. Right down here. God, so sweet. The final part of the test. Okay, we're in the rock garden. Let's see what happens. I'm gonna try and keep my teeth. Can we keep our teeth? Aye. Woo. Okay. Super easy. Like butter. Oh man. Okay. Right through the crevice. Aye. No issues. What? God. I'm definitely enjoying this then. The up and over. How's it gonna do? Oh, like nothing. And then we got the techie climb bit after. Woo! Oh man. Best corner in Laguna. Don't tell me otherwise. Right there. I am not even needing to pedal, and it's carrying so much speed. The best way to describe it is every bump almost makes this bike quicker. I don't know if that makes sense, but so easy. Okay, end of the trail. Stay on your bike, Mo. What do we got? Awesome. And it is done. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that GoPro footage. I really do love these trails, and I feel like it is the perfect test loop track to test out any bike if you are in the market in the future and you do find yourself in Southern California. But let's go over the comparison of these three bikes. So first, the Yeti SB150. This was probably the, I would say, overall fastest bike out of these three. And it doesn't have as much travel as the other two. It only has 150 mils of rear travel. However, it feels like it has more. It definitely handles its own, but at the same time, it retains that racy style feel to it. And the best way to kind of describe this bike is it feels like a train on tracks. It feels like it wants to go straight and it wants to go fast. And the faster you go, the more comfortable the bike gets. It's not necessarily the most maneuverable out of the three of this, but I do feel like overall it might be the fastest. The suspension design definitely rewards that rider who's willing to let off the brakes. And like I mentioned, when you are pointing it in that straight line, it really does feel like it's just kind of hooked on the trail like it's a train going down the tracks. And yeah, that thing is freaking insane. It's crazy how much momentum that bike can carry. Now the trade-off here is it definitely didn't feel like the most nimble out of the three in terms of, is this like that free ride style bike? I wouldn't say so. I definitely think that this bike definitely has a race style nature to it, and that's what I felt on the trail. However, I was very impressed by its high speed stability. In terms of climbing, I definitely thought this was also probably one of the better pedalers out of the three. Obviously, it does have a little bit less travel. However, even with that being said, I do feel like the suspension design, it's kind of interesting. It's stiff in the initial stroke, but then at the same time, as you start to go faster, it kind of feels like you sink a little bit deeper into that travel and it becomes a little bit more active. So it's almost like two different feels. Overall, from an efficiency point of view, I do think that this is the most efficient bike out of those three that I tested. So now let's talk about the Transition Spire. The Transition Spire was, I don't know if you guys could tell by my commentary, probably the bike that blew me away the most. I really kind of didn't, it left me speechless at times. That was probably one of the few times that I hopped on a bike that claimed to be a long travel 29er, and it actually felt like a long travel 29er. It felt like it almost had more than 170 mils of travel, and I constantly found myself being blown away by how muted it made the trail feel. It really made those trails feel like they were nothing. And yeah, I definitely felt so much confidence being on that rig going down those downhill trails. The difference between the stability of this versus something like the Yeti SB150, I actually felt like even though this thing was so stable, it still retained a lot of the maneuverability in that. And what that is good for is I feel like if I was riding some proper all mountain, really janky style trails, I feel like I could put this bike exactly where I want to, and at the same time, I still have all of that travel and all of that stability. So yeah, the maneuverability is definitely appreciated for more tech style steep descents. And obviously there are going to be trade-offs, and the trade-offs here is going to come time for the climbing. It did feel like overall, man, I definitely felt every pound of this bike. Definitely had a little bit of a heavier build, but also I feel like the bike as a whole is just a little bit on the beefier side, and I did feel that on the trails. Now, when it came time for technical style climbing, I did feel like traction was pretty insane, almost unlimited. So as long as you're willing to put in the work and just kind of keep pedaling, keep your head down, you will make it up almost anything. I definitely felt that. However, you will feel that weight as well. So for the third bike that we're going to talk about today, that is going to be the Specialized Enduro. And unlike the Transition Spire, it's weird. Those bikes share so much on paper in terms of similarities, 170 mils of travel. The Enduro doesn't doesn't feel like that on the trail. The Enduro almost felt like the Yeti SB150 and the Transition Spire had a baby. You got a lot of high speed stability. It still felt like a big bike, but at the same time, you still had that race style feel from the bike. And very similar to the Yeti, it almost felt like the faster you went, the more comfortable it got in the bike. And actually on that suspension design, it almost felt like everything the bike hits makes the bike goes faster. And I felt like that was very similar to that Yeti SB150. So yeah, it definitely shares that race style feel. However, I definitely also feel like the maneuverability and the nimbleness is still there as well. So it's kind of that blend of both worlds. You have high speed stability, it's still nimble, it's still maneuverable, but it doesn't feel like an overwhelming tank on the trail. Kind of like that Transition Spire felt like at times. So yeah, you still retain a little bit of a trail bike style feel to the Enduro, but you definitely feel that all mountain 29er as well. So it's kind of the best of both worlds. Now, with all that being said, there also is climbing, and I definitely feel like this probably had the slackest seat angle out of the bunch. I'm not sure what Geo looks like on paper. I definitely feel like seat angle is one of those things that you kind of got to ride the bikes to feel out, and I definitely felt like the seat angle was a little on the slacker side, but it wasn't a deal breaker because, like I mentioned, this bike did so many other things amazingly, and it also still climbed fairly efficiently, and also traction was there as well. Now, this is the part of the video where you guys are probably wondering which one of these bikes was my favorite, and if I had to buy one of these bikes, which one would it be? And I feel like this is going to be a pretty tough question. I really enjoyed all three of these bikes, but if I had to choose one out of those three that I tested out, I personally would say the Specialized Enduro was probably my favorite. I feel like that could make the best do-everything bike for my personal riding style. And then I would say, man, it's a tie between the Yeti SB150 and the Transition Spire. I almost can see myself justifying the Transition Spire to be a second bike in addition to the Enduro. I would build my Enduro a little on the lighter side and just kind of have that be my do-everything quiver bike. And then I would just build that Transition Spire super bulky, similar to the build that I did test out on the trails here. And yeah, that would be my more downhill style rig that I could still pedal on days where we kind of have to make our way, we can't shuttle. But yeah, that would be my bike for that style of riding. And yeah, it kind of almost would make a two-bike quiver there. Would it be overkill? Yes, I do think so. Now, that's not to say that I didn't like the Yeti SB150. I am a huge fan of the Yeti SB150. However, I personally am not a racer, but I do feel like if you are a racer, you have that race style mentality, that was probably the fastest bike out of all three of these. So it's a really tough kind of toss up between all three of those. I personally think I would pick the Enduro. Now, I did mention in the beginning of the video that I do want to throw in two other bikes, the Specialized Stumpy Evo that we tested in Santa Cruz and my Ibis Ripmo that I actually reviewed both of those bikes. And my Ibis Ripmo, you guys know I love that thing. We are sponsored by Ibis, so there is a little bit of bias there. But yeah, I really do love that bike, but I kind of want to add a couple of details on both of these that I feel like might help you out. Now, the Stumpy Evo is a bike that I feel like it feels like the Yeti SB150 and the Enduro had a baby. So it's almost a blend of those two bikes. I feel like you get a lot of stability with that bike, but you get a little bit less travel, and I feel like just a little bit more pop and lively feel to it than the Enduro. But at the same time, I feel like you do get a little bit more nimbleness over the Yeti SB150. However, I feel like if you were to put the Stumpy Evo and the Yeti SB150 side to side and have them race, I feel like it would be a close result. And in terms of my personal Ibis Ripmo, that's a bike that I don't feel like is going to be too similar to anything in this lineup. You guys know me, I think it is one of the most playful, poppy, long travel 29ers on the market. It is sitting at 147 mils of rear travel, so not necessarily the most, but at the same time, I definitely feel like the Ibis Ripmo holds its own comparison to these other bikes, but at the same time just has a much more poppy, lively feel to it. And we did recently release a long-term review of that, so definitely check that out on the channel. With that being said, there is no better time to be a mountain biker than now coming into 2022, and especially with a shop like Pro Bike Supply that has so many awesome bikes to demo so you can try before you buy. So huge thank you to Pro Bike Supply for making this video happen. Definitely hit those guys up if you are ever in the market for your next bike. And with that being said, which one was your favorite? Let us know in the comment section. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this video. And until next time, you guys, ride awesome. Ew.